Hello guys, this is Paul McWhorter with TopTechBoy.com, and we're here today to get booted up on Jetpack 7.2 running on your NVIDIA Jetson Orin Nano. What I will need you to do is pour yourself a nice tall glass of ice cold coffee. That would be straight up black coffee, poured over ice, no sugar, no sweeteners, none needed. And as you're pouring your coffee, let's see if we can go ahead and get this party started. So I will get out of your way. We'll come over here and look at the gear that we're going to need for today. We have the most excellent Jetson Orin Nano. And then what you're going to need is you're going to need a USB thumb drive. I admit my thumb drive looks a little strange, but this is a thumb drive. And then you are going to need a micro SD card. I'm running a 256 gigabyte one, but probably if you have a 64 gigabyte, that would work okay as well. Over here, we have our hardware for our other excellent lesson, the AI on the Edge class, and I think we've got 50 videos already in that class, and we are running the Raspberry Pi 5, and we are doing real AI on the Edge. I will admit I wanted to use the Jetson Orin for the AI on the Edge class, but I was just struggling mightily with all the issues associated with dependencies, and I thought rather than wait to get all those things straight, we could go ahead and do a class on the Raspberry Pi 5, and the things that you're learning here will apply to the Jetson Nano when that platform stabilizes, which is sort of what we're here to look at today. We are going to be looking at the new Jetpack 7.2. We're going to see whether we can get it running here on the Jetson Orin Nano, and then we're going to talk a little bit about whether you guys would be interested in me doing a extended class, something that might be 50, 60, 70 lessons on the Jetson Orin Nano. They cost about $250. I've got a link to Amazon down in the description. If you want to get one to play around with it, go ahead, hop on over there and get it. And even if I don't do a class, I'll probably be doing some periodic videos on this. All right. I am thinking that I should have labeled this class or titled this class, I Bricked My Orin, so you won't have to. So Jetpack came out. It was supposed to, Jetpack 7.2 was supposed to come out on June 1st, and it was delayed a day, came out June 2nd. As soon as it came out, I downloaded it, and there wasn't a whole lot of information on it. So what I assumed is just do it the same old way that you always had. Just download the operating system, flash it to the SD card, plug it in, plug the SD card in, plug the power in, and then watch the magic happen. If you thought that, like I did, you would be wrong because things were quite different this time, and I made several mistakes that did end up with me bricking more than one Jetson Orin Nano. And you don't want to do that, because if you actually brick this thing, you cannot unbrick it using just the device itself. You have to have a separate Linux machine, a separate Ubuntu machine running the SDK manager, and then kind of hack into this thing and force the firmware update correctly. And that is a goat rodeo that you do not want to compete in. That is a clown show that you don't want to be a performer in, believe me, because that's how I've spent my last 4 or 5 days trying to get out of that. But I think I've got it figured out. I think I can show you how to do it now. And in fairness, right when that OS came out, I don't think that they had their tutorial up yet. And if they did, I missed it. But anyway, I think I can explain it to you. Now, because I always like a good challenge, I got a random Jetson Orin Nano out of my drawer of Jetson Orin Nanos. I've got a drawer of them, and this one has a little sticker on it that says not for resale, for development only. So this is a pre-production Jetson Orin that NVIDIA had sent to me for evaluation. And so I have no idea what state this thing is in. It's probably old and everything, out of date and everything. So this is going to be sort of a real challenge. Now, to explain to you there's two things, but there's three things. There's three things that you really have to understand if you want this show to go smoothly. Okay. And I didn't understand these three things, and that's how I got into so much trouble. The first is there's different Jetson Orin Nanos out there that have different firmware. Now, the firmware is not something on the SD card, so you cannot solve your firmware issue by just flashing a new OS, because there's some things that are going on the hardware memory that have to be right. And so I have no idea what version of firmware is on that. So that takes the level of difficulty up a few notches. And that's why I'm deliberately using the one that is probably the most messed up. So anything that you bring in, it should work if you follow these instructions. So the four things that you got to know is, the first thing that you have to realize is that when you plug in this thing in the process that I'm going to show you, it might want to, at the very, very first step, update the firmware. It might want to update the firmware. And if you let it update the firmware, if anything interrupts it during that update, you are going to have a brick, and then you're going to have to put together a standalone Linux system. You're going to have to install the SDK manager. You're going to have to get that SDK manager talking to this, and then you're going to try to get the thing to boot in recovery mode, and it's going to be a lot of pain. So if you just listen to me carefully, hopefully you won't end up in that spot. That's the first thing. Now, the second thing that you have, and so this is the way we're going to do that. We're going to plug it in, and if it wants to do the update, let it do the update. If it doesn't want to do the update or doesn't ask for an update, then you just go to the next step. So I don't know what's going to happen to you. If it asks you for the update, let it do the update and then follow along with me. If it doesn't ask you for the update, then you can jump over that part in this video, because I'm assuming it's going to ask me to update the firmware. All right, you can just jump over that. So the first question is, do you have the modern firmware or do you not have the modern firmware? If you don't have the modern firmware, we're going to let it install. Now, the second thing that was like blew my mind, in the past, we would just flash the SD card, we would plug it in, and then we were off to the races. But what I learned the hard way is it doesn't work that way anymore. You need a USB thumb drive. You're going to flash the operating system to the thumb drive, but you're not really flashing the operating system. What you're really doing, I would say, is kind of like you're flashing an installer. And then what you got to make sure that you do is you boot off of the installer, and then you boot to the SD card. And so we have to put the thing that we're flashing onto the USB drive, and then we're going to flash it to the SD card. Now, in full disclosure, on the back side of this thing, I have an NVMe memory stick, and that thing is 1 terabyte. And so I am going to go ahead and flash to that, but you can select to flash to the SD card. So it works the same either way. So that was the second big surprise, that you don't just flash to the thing that you're looking for. Now, the third big surprise that I had was that once you flash Jetpack 7.2 and once you boot in Jetpack 7.2, the rather shocking thing that I learned is you're booting. You've got the beautiful NVIDIA splash screen. You've got all those marvelous applications. You have everything you need except Jetpack 7.2. Okay, so at that point, what do you have to do? You have to go in. Now you're booted up on your SD card. You have to go in then, and you have to install Jetpack 7.2 on top of your operating system. Then at that point, you have got you've got a functioning system. Now, the other thing that I wanted to do, the big thing that they were advertising about Jetpack 7.2 on the Jetson Orin Nano was that you had NemoClaw ready to run out of the box. It was NemoClaw ready. You just type in one command and you're running NemoClaw. Okay, I have not found that to be true. Okay, so I have not been able yet to run NemoClaw with a local Ollama model on the Jetpack 7.2. Now, I've got some threads in with the NVIDIA support, and they're responding to me, but I don't yet have a functioning system. Now, if I do get there and you guys are interested, I can show you how to get the NemoClaw working. Now, what is the endpoint I'd like to work out? I would like to end up with a local Ollama agent working on the NVIDIA. I would like to connect that to my NeoPixel ring, and then I would like to converse with my project in natural language, like, give me a pattern that'll cheer me up. And then it would come in and come up with an LED pattern and so forth that it would think would flash me up. So you see, I want to start interacting with it in a natural language. Now, in our AI on the Edge class, what we're doing is we're doing that type of thing with vocal interaction, but it's more simple text to speech. So if I say rainbow, then it goes in, it recognizes I said rainbow, and it runs the rainbow over here. Okay, but I want to interact with it in a more natural language. Okay, we have had much too much talking, and let's jump in and see how we can get this thing going. So we have come over to our Windows machine, and we are going to search on download Jetpack 7.2 like that. Okay, and we come over here, Jetpack 7.2 SDK downloads. That looks like a good one to try, so we'll try that. NVIDIA Jetpack downloads and notes. That looks good. And here it says download Jetpack ISO image, and confirming we are on 7.2 here. And I think all we got to do is just click this, and then it is going to start the download. And so if I look up here, you see it's got a download that has started. And so sometimes it's like you expected to go to a new page and you didn't go to that new page, so you got to see that it is actually downloading. Now, as that is downloading, to actually do the flashing, you need the Balena etcher. If you are used to Raspberry Pi, it's kind of equivalent to the Pi Imager. And so what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to search on Balena etcher, and then we'll come here to etcher. And then this is it. We are going to come down to download etcher. And then you've got these choices. You download the one you want. For me, it would be the Windows one. You click download. Then that gives you a little installer that'll show up in your download folder. You'll click on that installer, and it will ask you to agree to terms of service, which, as far as I know, is asking you to pledge your left kidney if they should ask for it, or your firstborn child. But as we usually do, I just click yes, 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 and move on, hoping that none of that is in there. Okay, so then you're going to have Balena etcher, and then what you can do is you can run the Balena etcher. I just type in Balena, there it is, because you can imagine that I already installed mine, so I'm going to run it. Okay, and now what I'm going to have is I'm going to have this, and I've got to select some stuff. So this is the important thing. Where are we going to etch to? We are going to etch to the thumb drive, the USB thumb drive. We are going to etch to the USB thumb drive. So what I'm going to do is I am going to put the USB thumb drive in as such. Hear that happy little noise, which is always good. And then you can imagine I did already download the Jetpack 7.2, so I won't have to sit and worry about that. So the first thing you got to do is select what you are going, the image. Okay, so you are going, let me get rid of that. So we're going to flash from File, Okay, flash from file. All right, and then I have my Jetpack image in Top Tech Boy Jetson Orin image. Yours will probably be in downloads. So you would go to download, and then you want to click on that, and that is what you got. So let's see if it takes it. Okay, there it is. That's good. Now you select the target, and that is going to be that USB thumb drive that I just put in. So I'm going to do that and say select. And then what I would do is I would come over here and flash. Now you can imagine I already flashed mine. When you click flash, it's going to take 30-45 minutes. It will do a flash, and then it will do a verify. And then when that is done, you are good to go. So I'm going to go ahead here, and I am going to eject my thumb drive. Okay, so it is ejected, and here it is. And now I am going to plug my thumb drive into, my Jetson Orin Nano. So that's plugged in. Now I need to put this little SD card. In as well, because I'm going to take the installer flasher OS that's here, and I'm going to flash it onto this SD card. And this is actually a little bit hard to get that in there, but I did get lucky, and it is in there. All right, so now let's review. Our gravy, the gravy is really here on the thumb drive, and we want to install that gravy over here to the SD card. And so what we're going to do is we're going to plug this in, but what do I need to do? I don't know what state. I do not know what state this firmware is in, and it might be looking for the boot device to be the NVMe card, or it might try to boot from the SD card. So I want to go to the boot manager. So when I plug this in, first thing I'm going to do is look for signs of life, a green light. And then what I'm going to look for is the flash screen, the splash screen. Okay, and then with that splash screen, I'm going to hit escape, because I want to make sure that it goes to the thumb drive for the first boot. Okay, I'm going to plug it in, and let's see, I'll plug it in. Okay, we are looking for the splash screen now. Hopefully we'll see that. And sometimes it takes a minute, but we're going to be patient here. There it is. I'm hitting escape now to go to the boot loader. All right, there is the boot loader. And so now I'm going to come down to the boot manager. I'm going to click that. And then I want to go to the generic mass storage device. Yours might say USB or something, but we know it's not the SD card. We're going to boot to the SD card. We're going to flash from the generic mass storage device. So we'll give that a click there. And now we're going to see what happens. Okay, it's asking if I want to update the firmware. So I'm going to give it a Y for yes. And now what it's going to do is it's going to go in and put that latest firmware. So indeed, this particular Jetson Nano Orin that I had was an old one, as I said, sitting in the drawer. It did not have the new firmware. So it is putting the new firmware on the machine. Okay, that's very good. You can see now it says update in progress. So far, everything is going just dandy. Now, if yours doesn't ask for the firmware upgrade, then you're just going to go to the next part where you actually do the flash. Okay, you're going to go to the next part where you actually do the flash. Okay, we're back. It just finished that first flash, and now it looks like it's going to probably try to do a second flash. The most important thing is that you do not interrupt this in any way. So it says capsule update prepared. Okay. So it looks like that it did that flash, and now it's going to reboot again. And we'll just kind of play it by ear here. Okay, now it is doing an update. So that is good. It's flashed and now it is updating. So we are right on schedule. I think probably this is still part of the update of the firmware. We haven't actually gotten yet to flashing the OS on the SD card. So that should be coming up very shortly. This update actually goes pretty quickly. %, but you guys are going to have to sit and wait on yours anyway, so we'll just wait together here. But hopefully this goes smoothly for you. I ran into some glitches along the way. Again, first thing I assumed was just flash to the SD card from the Bellina etcher and then try to boot off that. That did not work at all. And then I kind of by doing that ended up bricking my Jetson Nano Orin. And so I probably could have named this video, I bricked my Jetson Orin so you won't have to. But I think I had to actually go into the SDK manager and get that all working to unbrick mine. But if you really follow very carefully what I'm saying here, you really should not end up bricking your machine. So we'll hope so. But these NVIDIA products, I think we get a little spoiled with the Raspberry Pi because it's so easy. But, you know, okay, so it finished the update. Now I'm hoping it will start. It will ask me if I actually want to flash something. That's what I'm anticipating will come up. And if you did not need the new firmware, you're already going to be at this point here. Okay, what do I want to do? The top choice, install Jetson ISO. Okay, now, where do I want to install it on? Now, earlier we chose USB because that was from, and we're going to put it on the micro SD card. Now, if you have an NVMe on the back of yours, that will show up as an option. But here, I'm just going to do the SD card. So we'll click there, and now we should just see a bunch of stuff flying by. Had a little coffee spill here, so need to try to get that straightened up a little bit. Okay, we got a lot of stuff going here. This is looking good. This is actually looking very good. I'll probably pause it in a minute. I just want to get to a certain place to make sure that this thing is going to work. So far, I'm not seeing any errors or problems, so I think we're in a pretty good spot here. Okay, this is moving right along and everything seems to be going very smoothly. So I'm feeling good about what I'm seeing here. And this is kind of what the point that I wanted to get to. And if you look at the bottom line, it says installing many packages, wait for 15 minutes. And so that is really good. And so we will be back as soon as that gets done. Okay. And we are through that 15-minute wait that seemed like a lifetime. And it seems like things are moving along again. Hopefully this will be done fairly quickly. I will also say a couple of things that I learned going through this. If you have a problem with the flash dying or crashing in the middle and trying to get you to go back to the shell like a 127 error or something. What I've found is that not all USB thumb drives work well. So I had a stack of thumb drives and I flashed the installer onto each one of them, and about half of them did not play nicely when they were supposed to flash the SD card. So if you seem to have a problem that this doesn't want to work without the system crashing in the middle. It sort of crashes after that supposed 15-minute wait. That wait is cut short, and then you're given like a whoopsie error with a 127. If you're having that, just be real mindful of what you are using for your USB stick. Get a new one, get a fresh one, get a big one, get a fast one. That would be my recommendation. Okay, this is moving. This is moving, hopefully. Hopefully, are we going to boot? Are we going to boot in 7.2? Signs of life. Signs of life. Looking for the splash screen. Looking for that splash screen. Let's see what we find here. And boom. Okay. And you notice this time it's not grabbing and wanting you to update the firmware. It looks like this might be a clean boot. And so let's watch it here for a second and see what happens. Okay. I got a little blinking cursor up there, so at least that's a sign of life. That's encouraging. I think usually the first time it takes the longest to boot, and then after that it's not a big deal. Okay, it's probably going to ask us for some credentials here. All right, so yep, we will go with English. And then the English US keyboard sounds good. We will accept the terms of service. I will connect to, where is that? This one. Sometimes it has some things it wants to check on right at boot time. So it's good to get this thing connected as soon as we can. And mine is thinking about it a little bit to see if it's really happy. And it's happy, so we'll go next. Where am I? I am in Kampala. I'm near Kampala. I'm not in Kampala. And then okay, I think that's going to be about it. Set a password. My Pookie Bear 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 and a pound. Okay, start using Ubuntu. Hopefully we'll get the splash screen now. Okay, that looks good. And we are getting close. Boom! Look at that. Okay, so let's see what it wants. Skip for now. No, don't share. And then finish. Okay, guys, we are here. Now, this has been, it hasn't been pretty, but we got you here. We got you booted, even though it wasn't very pretty. And hopefully you'll sort of see how to do this next time. It won't be quite so painful. But now this is the darn thing. This is the darn thing. Let me show you. You would think you're done at this point, right? You just flashed Jetpack 7.2. But, my friend, you have everything you could ever want except Jetpack 7.2. So the Jetpack 7.2 does not actually install Jetpack 7.2. It installs the Linux operating system and then the nice things that you need to use it as a computer. But if you actually want Jetpack, which I'm sure you do, you got to do a sudo apt update like that. Okay, and there it goes. Okay, and then we'll do a sudo apt upgrade -y. Okay. I'll tell you, I really hate this terminal. As this thing's doing that, I'm going to improve my terminal here. So I'm going to come over to Preferences. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is I am going to go to my unnamed profile. First thing, I want it bigger so you guys can see it. And so on this, I'm going to say custom font, and I'm going to make this like 22 so it's easier for you guys to see. Okay. And then I'm going to go to colors. And what I always like is I like my text. What is this? Okay. Genome light. Let's see if there's any. That looks pretty good. Although I'm going to adjust this one. It needs to be a little darker. Oh, most excellent. And then this this kind of light green there, I would rather have that be kind of an orange, kind of a maroon. Right about like that. Okay, I guess I got the wrong one. Let's see if it's this one. Try up here. That's pretty good. Yeah, it was that one. Okay, and then the text is black. That's okay. So to me, that's just a lot more readable. Now let's come back over here and see if we, okay, it's going to want to configure Firefox. I guess there's nothing we can do about this. We're going to have to wait for an update of Firefox. And you see already over here, it's got the new colors, and I just like those a lot better. And we are done with the update and upgrade, as painful as it was. And now for the money line here, sudo apt install NVIDIA Jetpack -y. Now the funny thing is, I didn't know about this and nothing worked. It's like everything I was trying to do didn't work, because even though I flashed Jetpack, I didn't actually have Jetpack. So you've got to flash the Jetpack, and then once you're booted up, then you've got to install the Jetpack. So we'll be back in a little while after this thing is done, and we'll see if everything is installed correctly. And so I will catch up with you. Okay, so there's one other package I want to show you how to install. It's called JTOP. It's sort of a general status console that kind of shows you everything that's going on your Jetson Orin Nano, and it's very useful. So let's go ahead and do a sudo apt upgrade and sudo apt update, sudo apt update, and sudo apt upgrade, and then -y. And don't panic, because the last one, the long one, was earlier. Since we just did it, this isn't going to take very long at all. Okay. Okay, so that's all happy. Now we're going to do a sudo apt install some Python packages, Python 3-pip and Python 3-setup tools, and then the old -y. Okay, so that's all happy. Now we're going to do a sudo pip3 install break system packages. The Python here is externally managed, and so if we want to do something like this, we've got to tell it to break. So Jetson stats. Let's see what happens. Okay, now what we want to do is sudo systemctl daemon-reload, because we don't want to reboot here. And then we're going to say sudo systemctl enable jtop. service, and then a sudo system ctl, and then a start jtop.service. I don't think you have to do this every time. I think we just do this the first time. Okay. And now we're going to have, I guess we got to reboot anyway. Let me just see what happens if I say jtop. Okay. Sudo reboot now. I was hoping those things would make it where I didn't have to reboot one more time. All right, so let's see if we got JTOP installed. All right, boom. So you see, we got a lot of information on here. So let me show you some of the things you can see. You see we have 6 CPUs, and you can see the CPU usage as we're sitting here. And so that's not too much going on there. And then you can see the user that is logged on. You can see some information about the GPUs. You can see some sensors, the GPU temperature, the different CPU temperatures, and then the power level that you are operating at. You can go in and really look at this. There's some useful stuff. And this is a graphical demonstration of the CPU usage. So you see the 6 CPUs, and you can see what percentage that they are being used. You can look at your memory usage here from the various components. This is some stuff that's just what's on and running and what's going on. And then this allows you to set your fan profile. That's useful. But this is really what we're looking for. Okay, so we've got the CUDA library, we've got the cuDNN, we've got TensorRT, we've got VPI, we've got Vulkan, and you can see the versions that we're running. OpenCV is 4.8.0, and I've never understood it, but they never fix it where the OpenCV is running on the CUDA, and so I've never quite understood that. You can actually make it run on, you can recompile the OpenCV where it'll do that, but it's a long and difficult process. One thing is you can see that we are on L4T 39.2, and let's see, hardware is the Jetson Orin Nano Engineering, that's right, and Jetson Orin. We are on CUDA Archbin 8.7, and so you can kind of see everything here. And this L4T 39.2, that shows that we are in fact on Jetpack 7.2. Okay, so let's see, what else have we got here? Anything else? I think it crashes if I try to go to GPU. I think they'll update that probably very shortly. But yeah, that crashes it if you try to look at the GPU right now. And here it is also. You're on L4T 39.2, and that's the one that corresponds to Jetpack 7.2. Okay, so that is what we're going to do. Okay, guys, what I need to know from you is I've kind of taken you through and shown you how to get it working with this sort of simple flash to the SD card or flash to the thumb drive, and then from there to the SD card. I'll be honest with you that, you know, if you're going to be playing with the Jetson Orin Nano, this is the big boy stuff. This isn't like the Raspberry Pi stuff where everything just happens very easily and the instructions are always very clear. When you go to the Jetson Orin Nano, you're starting to play with the big boys, and this simple little flash the SD card, it's just not the way to do it. And so if you're really going to be serious about using the Jetson Orin Nano, you've got to learn how to use the SDK manager, and you've got to do your interaction with the operating system through that. So you guys give me feedback. When I was getting ready for this AI on the Edge, when I was getting ready for the AI on the Edge class that we're using the Raspberry Pi in this stack here, I really wanted to use the Jetson Orin Nano, but it was just so difficult to get a stable system with it. I thought it's just too much trouble. It would just be a headache for me and a headache for you. But you guys let me know if you would like to see a class on the Jetson Orin Nano, and something that might be 50, 60, 70 lessons long. I can't make an investment in a class like that unless there's a lot of people that are interested. And if we go down that path, you've got to understand that it's not like using the Arduino and not like using the Raspberry Pi. It's going to require us to do a lot more advanced learning. So let me know. I need to know, do you want to see a very, very high-end, in-depth, deep dive on the Jetson Orin Nano? Now, kind of what I'm thinking that would be really cool would be that right now on the Raspberry Pi, what we're doing is it understands speech to text and text to speech, and so I can interact with it audibly. And something like this NeoPixel, I can control it with voice commands. That's good. Also, we're doing hand and gesture recognition, so you can control what it's doing by giving hand gestures. All that's great, but what I would like to do on something like the Jetson Orin, or the Jetson Orin Nano, would be something that would be hard to do on the Raspberry Pi, and that's to run a local large language model where you could interact with it more naturally. Like, go ahead and I would like the lights a little warmer or a little cooler, or make me a running rainbow, where you just talk naturally to it, and then it controlled the hardware through natural interaction through a local large language model. Let me know if something like that would be interesting to you, because it would be a big effort on my part, and I really don't want to put that investment in unless there's really going to be a big interest. Okay, guys, thanks for joining this. This is a little bit different than the recent classes that we've been making, but for you NVIDIA Jetson guys out there, I hope this was useful. Okay, guys, I want to give a big thank you to you guys for watching. If you want to help this video, give it a thumbs up and leave a comment down below. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. And most importantly, share this video with other people, because the world needs more people doing engineering and fewer people sitting around watching silly cat videos. Paul McWhorter with TopTechBoy.com. I will talk to you guys later.